Hi everybody. I'm standing in my kitchen. I want to tell you about myself going completely crazy. The first time I realized that there was something seriously wrong with my mind, I was in high school and somebody gave me a tablet called Serapax. Now, it's actually a tranquilizer, but I didn't know that. And in the morning, about 9 o'clock, I scoffed the thing. And I had the most unusually, completely different day. Suddenly, I was on the same plane as everybody else. I communicated with people freely. I was relaxed in my body. My mind was focused. I connected with everybody. Until then, I didn't know that I was completely spaced out. My mind was racing out of control. I was not on the same planet as everybody else. I was in a vague, surreal world drifting through life. I didn't know that until the Serapax. Naturally, I tried to get more Serapax, but the dispenser refused to give me any more, and I never did get another Serapax. But that was quite an eye-opening thing for me to kind of realize there's something wrong with my mind. Well, there were lots of other things that happened, but the second time I can tell you about was I was working in the bank, my very first job, and I was on the inquiries counter. Now, I'm very old. Back then, they still had savings books, paper books, and they'd bring them into the inquiries counter, and we would update them with deposits that had been made and so on. And you do various things on an inquiry counter. You sell the deposit books and make appointments for managers. And the bank decided it was time to upgrade me, and they posted me off to a training course for a week to learn something else. And diligent as I am, threw my heart and soul into the training and got top marks, came back all proudly, and somebody walked into the inquiry counter and asked for a deposit book. To my utter shock and embarrassment and dismay, I didn't know what they were talking about. I'd actually forgotten my job I'd been doing for 6 months. And I'd forgotten everything about my job, and my head was filled with the course I'd just done. What is wrong with my brain? That was so embarrassing. People had to remind me everything. And in that same bank, what happened one day was a woman walked in and headed for the teller, a woman I'd never seen in my life before, glanced over to the inquiry counter, saw me, her face lit up. She yelled out my endearment name, the one that my close friends and family use. So she must have known me really well. She comes running over and she's so excited to see me, and how are you and what. I'd never seen this woman in my life before. How horrifically embarrassing. See, there's something terribly wrong with my mind. I had loads of these really weird experiences. I mean, I was homeless. I actually ended up homeless with children for years. Because in South Africa, where I come from, there's no benefit system. So if you can't function, you end up homeless. And I couldn't function. And I couldn't understand why I couldn't function. I'd see people with houses and cars and wonder, how are they doing that? I just didn't know. And I would busk, sing with my guitar and get pennies and feed the kids who were living under a bridge. I mean, can you believe it? In my mid-30s, I had this boyfriend. He was very good with mental illness, and he insisted I go and see a psychiatrist. Well, at first I was offended and hurt and kicked and screamed, as girls tend to. But he persuaded me, and he was actually quite right. I went to see the psychiatrist, and I saw him every week for several months. And one day he said to me, "You are completely different today." And I said, "How? In what way?" And he said, "Well, you're talking differently. You're talking about different things. You're different." And he said, "The most important thing is you're not wearing any makeup." And I said, "I never wear makeup. I actually can't wear makeup because it irritates my eyes. They go all sticky. I'm allergic to that stuff. Besides, I deeply resent the fact that women can wear makeup, have to wear makeup. It's called grooming. But men don't have to wear makeup." And I went off on one to my psychiatrist. And he kind of raised one eyebrow. Apparently, I switch. And, I got home and I was confused. He put me on all these different types of medications, one thing and another. So many things had happened in my life. And my poor kids, I mean, they deserved a more stable mother. I've never been aggressive, or I've never had a person that throws temper tantrums and screams and swears at people. Fortunately, I've not had that as a disorder, but totally dysfunctioning is almost as bad. When the kids eat bread 4 days in a row, there's nothing on it. It's a problem. So I thought, I need to find my sanity. I want to find my sanity. I'm going to find my sanity. And I got this absolute resolve. And I started reading books in the library. I went down to the library. You were only allowed to take out 5 at a time. And I've always been a very fast reader. I talk too fast as well. And I was plowing through books, self-help books, psychology books, sociology books, all psychiatry books, anything to do with the mind. I was devouring them. And though really good ones, I'd read them 2, 3, 4 times, or buy myself a copy and get a highlighter and highlight everywhere and make pencil notes up the side. I really wanted so badly to find my sanity, because it finally dawned on me, since I had the confirmation from a psychiatrist, I'm bonkers, and I didn't want to be. I wanted to be a fully functional, capable adult human being. Now, in the study of all these things, I was so excited about what I was learning. I wanted to share it with everybody. Now, I've got children, and they had friends, lots of friends. They've always been very popular. And various mums would come and pick up various kids, and we'd chat in the doorway, as you do. And the one was suffering anxiety, the other one had panic attacks. There was one of them that had depression, one was going through a divorce, going through a terrible time of that. You know, so they didn't all have problems, but a lot of them had problems. So I said to them, come to my house on Saturday afternoon. I'll share all this fabulous learning that I'm learning. So they did, and this became a regular thing. Every Saturday afternoon, all these people, well, they brought friends of theirs, and the next thing you know, I had a lounge full of people. And every week I would write up a page of notes. I try to fit it into one A4 page of some particular aspect of some great thing that I had learned. So, for example, once we did the use and abuse of power. That was so fascinating. Too much power is a bad thing. You know, people abuse power and hurt others. There's aggression. There's, you know, control freaks. There's all kinds of abuse of power. Abusive bosses that abuse power. Yet on the opposite side of the coin, you need personal power to be assertive, to not be bullied by salesmen, to make yourself heard, to prevent yourself being abused, not to be a doormat. So we had these discussions about what is good and what is bad and how much is enough. Ego. We had one fantastic one about ego. That was really cool. Because, you know, a lot of spiritual traditions tell you ego is the bad thing. But there are people who suffer with a lack of identity. They don't even know who they are. They're kind of lost. They need some sense of ego, some sense of who am I. You want to be proud of yourself. You want to have a sense of achievement. These things are all connected to ego. And for some people, that's a very good thing. So bad ego would be finding yourself so self-important that words other people say offend you. So somebody talks in a certain way and you say, that hurts my feelings, you know, or don't raise your voice at me, or we're telling other people to change their words and behavior because we feel hurt or offended or don't like that. What a cheek. I mean, that's obviously an ego out of control, because we should be completely relaxed and allow people to be whoever they are. We don't need to tell the whole world to change its ways because we are sensitive or we have rules. So that's when ego is a bad thing. If it's making you feel hurt and offended and angry and upset and making you expect everybody else to change their ways for you, well, that's a recipe for being miserable, because other people are always going to just be themselves, and you're always going to just be being hurt or offended or whatever. So anyway, there were lots of different things we discussed, fabulous things, conflict management and handling of kids, and what's the best way to nurture loved ones without being a doormat yourself, and you know, how to feel safe in the world. And oh my God, they were fabulous discussions we had. And I wrote about 4,000 pages of notes from all these different books that I was studying, and I assembled them together into a book. But of course, initially in the 90s, this was back in the 1990s, I'm old, the book was like, I don't know, 400 A4 pages long, and I had about 3,000 pages full of general notes. And I needed to make it into the right size. You can't make a book way too thick. It's too much for people to read. So I had to edit it and cull it and cut it and edit it. And I kept putting it away and coming back to it months later or years later, and so I really should get into that. Eventually I shrunk it down to about 300 odd pages, and it was so hard leaving things out I didn't want to leave out. I thought everything needs to be in there. And I got the book published in 2008. It's called Help, I'm Going Crazy. And it's all those fabulous things, those meaty, useful, practical, helpful, tangible, usable tools and ideas and concepts, ways of thinking, ways of feeling, ways of being, ways of interacting in the world that actually practically help, really help anybody. So if you've got any kind of mental health issues, or you feel like you're going crazy, or the kids are just too much, or the job's too much, or your relationship is too much, if you're not coping, I'm pretty sure it's going to give you some fabulous, concrete, tangible, actually doable tools that can help you in so many ways. It's only about 300 pages and it's for sale on Amazon. And the book is called Help! I'm Going Crazy! And it's by me, Terri Ann Laws. So it's Help! I'm Going Crazy. You'll need to put the exclamation marks after help and at the end in order to not get 4,000 hits on other people who feel like they're going crazy and then not find the book. It's available on Amazon and it's called Help! I'm Going Crazy! By Terri Ann Laws. Please put comments if you buy it and you read it. Please give me feedback, and good or bad. I love all sorts of feedback. And hopefully we can help other people who are feeling like they've lost their mind or have lost their mind and are just trying to find ways of coping day to day in the world that we live in. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye.